If I were trying to show COVID research in the classroom, one thing that's easy to do is just take this and divide it up into bullet points. That's what PowerPoint and the other slide software kind of recommend, is that you just start with a title and you go into bullets. But this doesn't really help people process the information that you're saying. So what I would recommend is thinking about this not as how you can fit it on the bullets, but how you can separate these out into ideas. So here you have 79% of students found staying motivated was an issue. That is a separate idea than the three components that help lead to a lack of motivation. And then there's issues and tips that are kind of sub ideas within that. This becomes kind of its own idea as well. Now, if I didn't have so many bullets here, one thing that I could try is going to the Design tab and clicking on Designer and just seeing what comes up. However, what I will say is when you have this many bullets, you might find a nicer way to display it, but you still just have a lot of information on there. And what's better is if you show one idea at a time. If this isn't really giving you anything that works, then I would say you might need to start making your own. And to do that, I would say think about what this is showing. So for this, you're thinking about students staying motivated is an issue. So you could take a image of some bored students, and if you go to Unsplash, you can kind of see what's available here. I found this image here on iStock, which I'm planning on using, and this allows you to have a number that you use as big, having the information underneath, and then this could be what you display as you're talking about it. You have a bored student. Ideally, if you can find a bored student that looks in the direction of where the information is, that's better because then our eyes follow where the person is looking. But using this as an example, extra things on top of it. So if you go back to this original slide, I'm talking about three components. So when I did actually present this, I created my own graphic here, but that's something that I did in Illustrator, which you probably don't have access to. So one thing you can do is you can come up to the Insert tab and just see what SmartArt has as a starting point. And this here are different parts that make up a whole. So it's more of a list than it is anything else, but it's also parts that make up a whole. So you could look at maybe the pyramid or things that have relationships or cycles and kind of see how that works together. You don't necessarily want to have arrows because that indicates that one leads to another, which the cycle does. But with this, you could probably do something like this if you wanted to. So I could insert this, and then I would probably want to not have a wedge sticking out, so I could just bring that and submit it back together. With this, if I don't want to have the text, then I can come over to the SmartArt design and I can come to convert and convert to shapes. And now I have three separate shapes that I can then do what I want with it. The problem with SmartArt is when it's one unit that it actually makes it much harder to do things with it because it's trying to keep everything all together. But if you convert it to shapes, you have a lot more freedom to do what you want. And then I would come over here to insert icon and I would search for, it was social, emotional, and then cognitive. I probably want to search for brain instead of cognitive, and then I can insert something there. So then I have these three icons, which I can then bring over to these areas. I would want to make sure that they have enough contrast with the background, so black and blue probably wouldn't work very well together, but I can adjust those as needed. So then I could show this and say, according to the COVID research that we've seen recently, 79% of students had trouble staying motivated. And what that looks like in terms of the classroom is that there's three components that this plays a part. One is cognitive, go on and talk about the different things about that. One is social, talk about that, and then emotional and talk about that. And these are all things that you can then make in PowerPoint yourself using the tools that are available. If you're having trouble going from this to something more visual, let me know and we can chat about how we can apply some of these concepts to your own slide deck.